Hi, everyone, and good afternoon. Thanks for joining us today for a really fantastic webinar. My name is Sandy Elson, and on behalf of the travel professional community and homebasedtravelagent.com, I welcome all of you. Today, we're going to learn more about Europe's newest river cruise line, Emerald Waterways. Our speaker today is Randy Goodrich, who is a trainer for both Scenic Cruises and Emerald Waterways, and is the business development manager for agents in Idaho, Oregon, Washington, Alaska, Hawaii, and Texas. As always, we really appreciate the support our travel agent community gets from Emerald Waterways. Before we get started, please remember that you're all muted, but we welcome your questions. Just type in your question at any time in the question area you see on the right-hand side of the screen. At the end of Randy's presentation, we'll get to as many questions as we can. So let's turn the microphone over to Randy so he can get started. Welcome back, Randy.
Thank you very much, Sandy, and Happy New Year to everybody. We're hoping it's going to be a great year for you and your businesses, for our business, and for all the customers we hope we put on the river cruises out there. So today we're going to talk about Emerald. It's a great new cruise line. We started into business this last year in 2014 with 2 ships, and we'll have 4 of our own ships 2015. They did just get the award from Cruise Critic as the best new ships. So we'll go through the features that probably got them that award, as well as the services and the itineraries and a sneak peek at maybe 2016. So let's get moving along here. So this, I'm sure most of you are well versed with river cruises, but I typically start by saying that this picture here is pretty much what all river cruises are about. A ship that looks like that with three floors in it, a castle on a hill, a church nearby, vineyards in the background, and that's pretty much river cruising in Europe. Where the differences are between the brands are, basically what's within the ship, the same as a hotel, how they're made up, what the different services are in the style, so that relates to what people are looking for, some of the amenities, and for a river cruise, what's really important is what each cruise line does to help the customer experience these fabulous destinations. So this little picture is for our home-based travel agent group, the travel professionals. This is your leader, Joni, who is our godmother on our ship. In the fall, the Emerald Star, there with the captain, and on the right, she's in between the captain and Mr. Maroney, who's the founder and owns Scenic Cruises, Emerald Waterways. That's pretty cool. Thank you, Joni, for doing that. She did an outstanding job representing the U.S. travel agency industry. So that was very, very cool. So I mentioned we got the Cruise Critic Award late in the fall for the best new river cruise ship, 2014. A quote there from one of the people that were actually on our fam trip in the fall. This was the husband of one of the agents who had really been on a river cruise and became a true believer and loved the Emerald ship. I mentioned we had 2 ships in 2014, the Sky and the Star, and we're adding the Dawn and the Sun. I'm not sure where we're going after that with the names. There seems to be a trend there, so who knows, probably the Moon and a few other things. But they're great ships, the latest design styles, some very innovative features we'll show you in a minute, and fabulous service. So probably the most unique feature on the ship is the pool. This we'll go into a little bit more in detail later, but it's just an unbelievable room in the back of the ship. The ship itself, excuse me, is the same length as all the ships, the maximum length that you can have a river ship on the rivers of Europe. That's all dictated by a commission. So it's 443 feet long, 38 feet wide. We've got 47 crew members, 182 guests, so about 3.5 guests to each crew member, which is a great stat. 72 of the cabins are suites, so we'll go through that in a minute. So you see there's 3 decks, similar to all the river cruise ships of this size, three decks that have the cabins. The lower deck here just has some upper windows because it's right at the water level, and then it moves up where you have better viewing up the second and third deck. So Emerald Waterways is owned by Scenic Tours. Scenic Tours has been in business since 1986. They are an Australian company. It started by Glenn Moroney. He started doing some bus tours to help his dad, who owned, some other guys owned a hotel out in the boonies of Australia, and so they started busing people out to get them to stay at the hotel. That led to other tours and eventually to building one of the largest tour companies in the world, sending Australians all over the world, and now marketing to UK and North American clients, all English speaking. In 2008, they got into river cruising. They had chartered a few of the competitors' ships. The customers liked what was happening, but they really wanted to do river cruising more in the style of Scenic Tours, which is upscale, all-inclusive. And so he built ships that were a little bit more upscale with new features. In 2012, we actually brought ships that he had built up to that point in time and remodeled them to add some more cool features. We'll show you some of those. You see some of those in the Emerald presentation today, and also when we talk about Scenic. So Scenic itself will actually have 12 ships next year, of which they own 11 of them. Emerald started in 14. We have 2, and we'll have 4 as of next year, or this year actually. We're in 15 now already. Both lines have great service, great food. I compare them, Scenic more to like Regent with all-inclusiveness, Emerald to Oceana, where it's just as beautiful a ship, great service and everything else. It's more of a pay-as-you-go, but actually very competitive pricing. I think the best value out there in river cruising today when you consider the base price, but also you consider that they include more things than a lot of the other cruise lines do. So it's important to know the difference. The ship itself is kind of a very new-looking, very lots of chrome and glass and mirrors, very, very light, bright type of feeling about it. You can always see it out quite nicely. It's fully operated by our European team based out of Switzerland. And you get, obviously, a professional cruise director on board, a whole ship crew, and everybody else on board is well-trained, well pre-tipped, so all the tips and gratuities are included both on the ship and on shore, so you don't have to worry about that. That's a savings of roughly $300 a week itself, where quite a few of the other river cruise companies don't include the tips. You can see some of the features and how bright it is. Kind of trendy looking. Forget the guy putting. That's a horrible putting stroke he's got there. But the ship itself, you can see the pool in the back. In the back here is where the swimming pool is. It takes up the 2 decks in the back. It's fabulous. We'll show you more. You can see the open air roof, which is a retractable, so we close when the weather's not so good. Inside in the main lounge, Horizon Bar and Lounge, very open feeling again. Lots of couches and sitting areas so people can kind of relax and get to know each other, and it's very, very comfortable. The bar is quite good size. A lot of people hang out there. In the back of the bar, which is the front of the ship, will be one of our dining choices, the terrace. So you can sit there and have breakfast or lunch and look right out at where the ship is headed, where we are docked. This is the terrace here. So it's really a quite nice area. I typically eat breakfast here, trying to stay away from the big buffet that has every kind of food you can think of for breakfast. It was nice up here. We got free Wi-Fi, so you can check your emails and read the news and just kind of look out and see beautiful scenery. Here's a view at night of the terrace looking back inside of the ship. So this is right on the bow of the ship. Then there's a reflection restaurant. So it's a beautiful restaurant. Again, huge windows, so you can get lots of sunlight in there during the day. Nice view at night. But the food is spectacular. I was quite impressed with their food. Similar to most of the other cruise lines, complimentary beer and wine is served, and there's a selection of whites and a selection of reds. So that's quite nice because people have different taste. So at breakfast it's a buffet, at lunch it's both a buffet and there's a menu. At night everything's off the menu. And it does hold all of our customers. So excuse me, I had a video booked in there. I want to get out of that. So it does have, we have 182 clients on board, and they easily can all sit down at the same time or just show up what they want. So there's no trouble with seating. There's a wellness center, so people who do want to work out, they get a pretty good workout every day anyway, but if they want to work out more, it's a pretty nice little area. And then you have a massage area and a hair salon area too, so they can make appointments for those, and of course there's costs associated with that. Excuse me. Entertainment on board. We have our own full-time entertainer who typically anytime we're all getting together, whether it be before dinner or after dinner, lunches, presentations of different types, we'll be entertaining, and we'll bring in local entertainment from the local area wherever we have to be. If it's in the Danube, typically it's a Bavarian oompa band, and they don't only just play, but they have a lot of fun with the crowd, get everybody to kind of join in with the festivities of the night. People have a great time. The cabins themselves, so this is the, we have 4 of these owner suites on the top deck, and they are lovely rooms, so it's a one-room bedroom. There's a sitting area out here. You have it's not a true deck, it's what they call an indoor deck. So it feels like a deck, but it actually isn't really outside. It's in the cabin. The window, if you've seen the scenic presentations, we have the same feature here where there's a double pane on the railing, so that you can open and lower that at push of a button. So you can have it all the way open, all the way closed, part way open, part way closed. And beautiful decor, very soft colors, warm feeling. I like that. In these suites, you're going to get some extra services. You actually have room service there, so you can eat in the room. You could have dinner in the room. You have a mini bar that's going to be stocked with different types of liquors, wine, beer, whatever you want. There's an iPad in these suites for people to use. So very, very nice style for your more upscale clients with that kind of service. The next category is the Grand Balcony Suite. There's 8 of these, 210 square feet. They have this balcony. It is kind of outdoors, and it closes off. You can see the sliding door, though, out there. You could just keep that open because that's, again, one of the railing panels where you can push it up and down, so if it's cold or windy or noisy, you can close that, and that deck actually continues to be part of the room, kind of like a sunroom. So they have larger bathrooms in these suites. They have an espresso coffee machine there, and you do a concierge service for special needs, drinks be brought to you, things like that. The majority of the cabins on board Emerald, there's 60 of them, are 180 square feet. They've got this, not a balcony, but the windows, so it's kind of a French balcony in effect, but a lot brighter and all glass. And you just raise it or lower it if you want it open. So it's just lovely cabins. Oops. One of those videos. I have some videos embedded here. Don't want to get into because of bandwidth issues. Hang on a second. Got rid of that guy. Okay. Sorry about that. I watch where I click. So the next category would be the lower staterooms. I think there's 10 or 12 of these. There's 2 that are single cabins, only 130 square feet. So they're just like this, but they only have 1 bed instead of the double bed. So these are 162 square feet. I stayed in one of these. They're fine for a couple people, and You just don't have the bigger window that opens and lowers because you're right at water level here. Bathroom and everything else, extremely nice. So here's typical bathroom. The water pressure is very high, which is nice. You have a nozzle that you remove and shower, clean their toes, whatever you're trying to clean. So anyway, that's nice. Now this is a big feature on the ship. Excuse me. And this is the swimming pool. So it's in the back of the ship, as I showed you earlier. It's a beautiful room. Just to sit in this room and enjoy the serenity of it is unbelievable, because you just look out, it's all windows. The pool's kind of an infinity pool. It laps, the water's lapping over, so you get this nice background noise. People will come in and swim, of course, and you can do a couple. You can. It's a decent sized pool, so it will. People can exercise a little bit in there. So put that the video. But what's unique about it, if you look at the bottom of the pool, that looks like decking material, and in fact it is. In the afternoon, when people go to have dinner, they come out and they push a button and transform this room into a cinema. And that's done because when they push the button, that bottom of the pool very slowly raises up, and the water laps down underneath, and then it's all one deck. Somebody comes out, wipes off the water off the deck, and they place all the chairs around. So these chairs here, these people watching the cinema, this is the bottom of the pool that's been raised to the top level. So it becomes, they close everything up, they close the top, they move the screen down, which is huge, and you feel almost like you're in the movie. You're so close, it's right there in front of you. They have a bar back in the corner of the room, which serves all day, has a 24-hour coffee service back there. They have waiters to wait on you, so you can have some beer or wine or whatever you want, popcorn. Have a bunch of cinema, typically 3 nights a week. We have a regular cinema running. Sometimes it's a first-run movie. Sometimes in the Danube, we might be doing Sound of Music or something to get everybody into the mood. They go to Salzburg. So, fabulous room. It's also can be used for parties if you have a group. And a lot of people, when we don't have a movie, just hang out in that room at night. As far as the environment, these are state-of-the-art engines and equipment on board, so it's important from an environmental standpoint. It's also very, very quiet, the engines, I noticed that, and the fuel efficiency is outstanding. The itineraries. So for 2015, with our 4 ships and a charter in France, an Arosa ship, we are doing the 15-day across Europe, Amsterdam, Budapest, one way or the other. That's 3 rivers, 2 canals that link the rivers, 5 countries, 60-some locks. Fabulous trip, very popular for Americans. We want to get a real feel and flavor for going across Europe by boat. Unbelievable. And as you know, that's where a lot of the history of Europe is, along those rivers, along the Rhine and the Main and the Danube. That was their transportation system for centuries. And so there's some great things to see, and what an easier way than a river cruise. I don't know if it could be any easier to get into these wonderful places to see and experience. The Danube, of course, the most popular itinerary, I think, for all the river cruise companies. It's typically Nuremberg to Budapest. Some do Passau to Budapest, whatever. Nuremberg's a wonderful city, though, so it's nice that they include that. And Budapest is one of my favorite cities in the world. But it's a very, very nice trip. Vienna is right in the middle of that trip, and you get some other wonderful locations as well. You can add to that trip and have a stop in the beginning of the end in Prague. Jewels of the Rhine, that's strictly the Rhine River going north-south, Amsterdam, Basel, Switzerland. And then you can extend that to include the Moselle. There's a couple unique itineraries for this year, a 10-day Budapest to Bucharest, southern Danube. There's the 17-day Bucharest to Nuremberg. And then we have the springtime trip in the Netherlands and Belgium, and the tulips are all out. and finally a Rhone River charter with Arosa that will be offered. So I'm assuming most of you know these itineraries. This one is extremely popular for clients that have 2 weeks to cruise and can go from it and hit all these different countries, very different cultures and history. It's a fabulous trip. And that's along the way Dürnstein. That's in the Wahau Valley of Austria. Fabulous little place. Here's the Danube. We start in Nuremberg. You get into the Danube River in Regensburg. It's the canal that links the Rhine to the Danube. It's up above. The Danube's too shallow for ships. It actually goes off into the Alps. So that takes you all the way to Budapest. Some beautiful stops along the way. This is the chain bridge in Budapest. There's the Parliament building. At night, Budapest is gorgeous. Outside of Paris is probably one of the prettiest cities at night, at least that I've ever seen. It's all lit up. And on the Buda side, up here on the hill, the palace and all that area, some large churches and monuments are all lit up too. Quite spectacular. We take a nighttime, about 11 p.m. tour on the boat up and down the river with Strauss-type music in the background. It's spectacular. Adding Prague to that trip, Charles Bridge in Prague. And then you've got the Rhine. Again, a real easy trip for people coming from the U.S. You fly either into Amsterdam or Zurich and go north-south. It's primarily takes place in Germany. This area from Koblenz to Rudesheim is the area where there's 40 castles, so the ships will just cruise all that day, and it's a spectacular day that your client will never forget. You have to try to figure out which castle is which, so there's 40 of them in all states of some in need of a lot of repair. Some have been totally refurbished. Some are even hotels. A couple are very well refurbished medieval castles. Quite interesting for us people in the U.S. who don't see castles too often. This is up towards Rudesheim. This is the castle that is right in the middle of the river, the Rhine. Got a bow front in case high water that bounces things off. You can see castle up on the hill. This would be in the Moselle area. That's an added trip off the Rhine. And then you've got the southern Danube down towards the Black Sea. It goes through the Iron Gates, this gorge area on the southern Danube. And the itineraries in the Netherlands and Belgium. Really nice. Springtime when the flowers all come out. And as I mentioned, we're leasing a ship in France, a Rosa ship. We'll have our cruise director on board and some of our people on board. It would be totally marketed to English speaking. English will be the primary language on board, which is different than a lot of the Rosa ships that are primarily speak German and then English. That'd be nice for people, but the Rhone is very popular, so we wanted to get a ship in there. Mr. Marodi does basically pay cash for his ships, so there's only so many he can build, so he's building 4 more new ships next year, and 4 this year, 4 more next year. Lyon, France. A couple current specials, so we'll have specials from time to time. These sailings, like everybody else, they sell out pretty quick. A lot of ours we're selling 16 already, and we haven't even developed a brochure yet. So it's interesting. But there's people, especially the Australians and others, that book a long time ahead, a year to 2 years ahead. And I think people in the U.S. are starting to get used to that idea that if they want the right cabin at the right price, they need to book ahead. So here's a couple for the 8 and 11-day sailings. They can save up to $500 per couple, plus an onboard credit to use towards liquor, massages, things like that. A few things that we do charge for on board. And on the longer cruises, there's potential 2-for-1 air or air credit, and it's a single supplement saving. or just a flat $1,000 per couple savings on the 2-week plus cruises. So those are nice. So when you look at the brochure, it's going to have just brochure price. You typically have some early booking discounts, and then you have these specials. Some of these are combinable, some aren't. But it's important to, first of all, find availability and then see what the which specials relate to it, which cruises. So to get into that area, we have our website, emeraldwaterways.com. And on the bottom part of this site, you can screen capture the whole thing, but down at the bottom, there is a link to the agent site. And that will take you into the booking engine. We'll talk about that in a minute. But on this site, there's lots of these videos are quite nice. There's one in the middle, the generic video about Emerald. I'm not too crazy about the music behind it, but it does show you the ship and some of the features. You can show that to your customer. This video is testimonials from your fellow travel agents who have been on the ship. And this 360 is just a way to go 360 throughout the ship to look at the different cabins and configurations. This is Twiggy, who was the godmother of our first ship that was christened. We need to change that to Joni now, I think. But we'll do that. When you do get in the booking engine, you click check availability very quickly. You need to get a username and password to access the booking engine. But once you have that, you can quickly, you have a customer that's thinking about, in this case, the Jewels of the Rhine, going up and down Amsterdam and Basel. Very quickly, you can go through the itinerary day by day with them. You can then check availability and see which cabin categories are still open on certain sailings. And you find one, if you click on it, it will actually show you the cabins that are still available. So let's say you have two couples that want to go and they want to be next to each other. You can let them know immediately that these two cabins, 321, 319, are available. And if you click on that, it's actually going to give you the price up here of the cabin. And this is still the full price. And then as you go, you'll see if there's any early booking. Then if you know there's a special, those specials are not put into the booking engine. So you would need to tell your customer that you think you can save them more money by getting them into one of the specials, and you have to call reservations and make sure that's still available. But you can go ahead and make the booking itself, and a few more steps. They would ask obviously for their personal information, but there's also a page that asks about any dietary needs, any mobility restrictions, things like that. So you can get that all taken care of ahead of time. The transfers are included, so we will ask about when they're arriving. If they're arriving the day of the ship leaves, then we'll include the transfer, whether they buy the airfare from us or not. And so that's quite nice. And then for you to book this and block this cabin form, it's a $500 deposit. It needs to be paid within 3 days after booking. No additional payments until 90 days prior to departure. So if you do call the reservation number, it's busy quite often, as most river cruise companies are. So it will ask you to hold. You'll come back in a minute or so and have a second message saying, and the second part of that, second option is to leave your phone number for a callback. And personally, I prefer that because I can go off and do something else knowing that they're going to call me when I come up on the queue. And that's done. It could be a minute, 10 minutes, it could be half an hour. But they'll call you back, and then you can proceed to ask whatever questions. We need to take payments over the phone if you're trying to make sure you've got all the special pricing. They'll help you with that. They're very, very helpful. As far as value, it's really important to compare at the outset. You know, all the river cruise companies go to the same places, basically, so it kind of, in the perception, I think of the consumer, they're all the same. So what's the difference between one and the other? Why would I want to change and go with somebody else? So there's obviously one company out there that's doing a ton of advertising, creating great demand, which we all love. But then it's important for you, then, knowing your client, to put them on the right ship and get the best value for them. So the things to highlight here, all these things, a lot of these are included, but the transfers, whether you buy air or not. That's a big difference. Of course, the meals and the two dining places, wine and beer, soft drinks are included. That's typical of most of the people. We have a short excursion every day. Plus, we have Emerald Plus, which are some extra ones they could pay to do if they so choose. In the suites, of course, they get some concierge and butler service in the suites, as well as appetizers in the afternoon, drinks in their mini bar that they can use. Company Wi-Fi throughout the ship. That's getting more popular all the time. But probably the big difference when you look dollar-to-dollar comparison would be the tips and gratuities. There's some of the lines still don't include those. It's important for a couple of reasons. One is scenic. Scenic is more than just scenic cruises and Emerald. It's also scenic tours. So we work with these tour guides and whatnot on a regular basis. We've been doing it for almost 30 years. They're very well known to them. We pre-tip on all of our tours as well as all of our cruises. So you find that not only are they great guides, they're very attentive, they'll take care of your clients because they've already been well tipped ahead of time. So, and if they don't do a good job, they're not going to have that. It's one of the most sought after jobs in the industry out there in river cruising, and they don't want to lose it. So, pretty important. As far as documentation, this is what I got when I went on the cruise. Not sure if Joni did. Hers was a little last minute. If you got, we're able to get the backpack. So we do this. We give a backpack to every customer so that they have this to take when they go ashore, take the goods, whatever they want to take with them. And then, of course, the full documentation, bag tags, all that good stuff. Representation out there for you to work with a local business development manager. Our sales office is in Boston. That is an office that just as of the first of the year doubled in size. We're building our res staff there. So we've had a res staff in Vancouver, British Columbia, and in Canada and the U.S., and we're converting that and having our own staff in Boston. Vancouver's the backup. So we have plenty of representation there on the reservation side. In Northeast U.S., New York, and Northeast, Kathy Burke. You get Southeast, you got Richard Hickey. You know him from his Oceania days, I'm sure. In the Southwest, Mark Jeanette, used to do Kontiki. And in the Midwest, Tom Van Dorn, who's African Travel. Most recently, and Ron Bentley now is new with us as of the first of the year in Northern California, Nevada, Utah, Colorado. Ron was with vacation.com for a long time. In groups, Jerry Hamilton, who was with Signature Travel Group, is our group manager in the Boston office. And speaking of groups, our group size, that question comes up, so I'll answer it now. Group size typically it takes 5 cabins. The 10th person is the TC on the 8 to 11-day cruises. On the longer cruises, the 2-week cruises, the group size would be 15. So you would need it'd be 8 cabins, and the 15th is complimentary. We had some incentives with the group, so there's great group policy. If you want to talk to Jerry in specifics, there's not much group space left for 2015. You should be thinking about 2016 now for groups. And last but not least, I guess, is myself. I kind of cover everything else, as well as do all the webinars and training. So, Waterways.com, that's an important site to go to for more information, being enhanced all the time. We should have our 2016 pre-release brochure by mid-February. What I've heard so far is we're going to have some additional itineraries in the Mekong and Irrawaddy, where we're going to charter some ships. They're the same ships that were chartered by Scenic this year for the Australian market, for the U.S. market. Scenic is building their own ship now for Mekong. So that's as much as I know about 16 at this point. The brochure should come out, like I said, in mid-February. The full brochure will come out in May, probably. The best time for your client to buy a 2016 cruise is really between now and the time of our full brochure in May, because the pre-release brochure will still have our current pricing of 2015 in it, plus they'll have the maximum early booking discounts and many other specials that are out there. So they get the best choice of inventory, the cabins that are available, and they get the best value. So this would be the time to get them excited about taking an Emerald Waterways river cruise and get the right cabin locked in. They only pay $500. That is a non-refundable deposit, by the way. It can be changed under certain circumstances, if need be, if they book way ahead of time and things do change. We know that. But we do want them to kind of have some skin in the game, so to speak, if they're going to take that cabin out of the inventory, because most of them will sell. So that's the end of the formal presentation. I'll keep that last slide up just in case you want to write down some of the numbers, and I'll take some questions.
Thanks, Randy. That was fantastic. This Emerald Waterways looks like just a really wonderful river cruise line. We do have many questions, so let's get started with that. Do you have, on the Emerald Waterways river boats, are there cabins that hold more than two people? Is it appropriate for families? And do you offer single cabins, either cabins meant for a solo traveler, or do you have a single supplement?
Okay, no triples. It's all double cabins or single. We have two single cabins with single beds. Those are on the first deck, so they're down below. Some people, can put, if they're looking for a triple, that could be the third area. Let's see, what else was there?
Single?
The bottom line on families and whatnot is that, first of all, we have a policy, no kids under 12. It's not a great experience. There's some liability issues as well. So if they're part of a big group or something, we have maybe an exception, but we just can't promise that. It just depends. Typically, if you have a 12-year-old or younger, even a teenager on a river cruise, unless they're really into history and science and culture, which most of them aren't, they're not going to be too happy. Although Emerald's a good choice to give it a try, because there is the pool and the cinema, so they could hang out there if they just are not up to seeing another church or castle. I think that's going to change, though, over the coming years, similar to what the ocean cruises have done. 20 years ago, the ocean cruises basically were all the same because they were catering to the same audience. Most of the senior citizens who had the time and the money to take a cruise weren't into all the different amenities so much. But over time now, they've had to expand the base of their demographic appeal. So you see that each cruise line's got a little bit different style to it to attract a little bit different type of clientele. The most obvious being the great big ships now that are great for multi-generational travel. I think river cruises obviously are limited to what they can do because of the size limitations, but there will be more and more things done like adjoining cabins, triples, things like
that. Okay, and you mentioned some of the demographic information. What, in general, would you say is the average age? And who makes up the passenger base? Is it mostly Americans, Australians? Who are the typical passengers?
Well, we're kind of like everybody else. I think everybody's in that category of 55 plus, average age probably being 70. It's not a great experience for people that are mobilely challenged. They can get on the ship. They can probably get around the ship. We have elevators that will help them out. But getting the primary experience that people are going to remember and why they take a river cruise is that experience each day of going out and really getting intimate with each destination, with the bus tours, the walking tours, whatever. And if they're limited to a wheelchair or whatever, it's not a great experience for them. What was the second part of the question?
The nationality, typical nationality, is it Americans? Is it Australians?
So the longer trips will have more Australians just because they typically travel for 3 to 4 weeks at a time. A couple of years ago, even with scenic cruises, most of our cruises were 2 weeks plus. That's changed since they started the market into North America, UK as well. We all tend to take maybe 10 days off for vacation, because most of us are still working, can't do that. So we've actually started having convinced Scenic to have a lot more 1-week cruises. Those will be populated more by North American and UK people, but there will certainly be some Australians involved. Personally, that doesn't bother me. I think they're great. They're fun to travel with, and they like things done in style, and they don't dress up, but they're a lot of fun to be around.
Randy, the Emerald Waterways trips include a ton of things. It might be easier to talk about what's not included. What's not included in the price of an Emerald riverboat cruise?
Well, let's see. So the extra tours, we don't like to really compare Emerald with Scenic. Scenic is the most all-inclusive, and it obviously will cost a little bit more money on Scenic. So what they're not including is the butler service, the multiple dining choices, all the drinks, all the alcohol. You get as much beer and wine as you want at lunch and dinner, and it's a good selection of wine, but not all the liquor, so you have to pay for the liquor, pay for the extra shore excursions, some of the features like that. We do have bikes on board, but they're not the e-bikes like you'll find on Scenic. So, but more so than most people, the primary competitor out there does not handle tips and gratuities. Those are not prepaid. They do not do transfers unless you buy their airfare. And an awful lot of the people like to handle their own airfare, or have you as a travel agent find something for them that they can control a little better. So those are the primary differences. But it is really important for each agent to kind of script up a spreadsheet, and I've done that. I can be happy to share that with people. But list everything that one cruise line does include, compare that to the next one, so your client can see the bottom line, apples to apples, what they're getting for the dollar. And even though it's more expensive for one than the other, it may be more valuable to them because of what's included.
We've had several questions about travel agent rates, FAM trips. Does Emerald have any of those features?
Yeah, we do a couple of organized FAM trips where it's nothing but agents on board and some of our staff. But we want you to kind of experience it as a customer would, but we'll have some meetings and presentations as we go along. Those are in the spring and the fall. So as long as you signed up like for a booking engine and a few other things, we know who you are. We'll try to make you aware of those. They also have a nice policy on independent FAMs if you want to go. Within 120 days, you can request a booking. It's $499 for a week. And these are not the bottom, the boat cabins. They're the nice balcony cabins. Or in the case of Emerald, they're the primary cabins up above in the second and third deck. And $499 a week, and then it's $999 for a companion who's not a travel agent. If they are, it's $499 for both of you. That has to be requested. It's based on availability. So you need to contact one of your local business development manager here, and we'll see if we can get that for you.
That's fantastic. When there are specials, special promotions, in general, how are those controlled? How long are they good for? What's the story on the special pricing?
It's, we'll put some dates with some of those, but everything is subject to change because of availability. As we see things that are selling out, we can pull that special any time. So it puts a little extra pressure on you to convince your customer that if they want this, you better grab it. That's a good thing. You sell it properly. It gives you a reason to close the sale a little quicker because we don't have sales very often, but they will come up, and we don't know how long they'll stay in the marketplace. We, as the representatives, need to rush around and make sure we get you that information so you have the opportunity to present it to your client. They can take advantage of it.
If we have Canadian agents interested in booking, do they book with Canadian dollars? And can you talk a little bit about the commission structure?
Well, the Canadian agents have to go through the Canadian sales offices. That's a whole separate unit for us. We handle the U.S. here. We appreciate you participating. Obviously, all the information about the cruise is the same, but it's all going to be done in Canadian dollars. They have their own specials they run, things like that. You have your own business development managers throughout Canada, so you need to contact the Canadian office, and I believe you find that, I think, probably waterways.ca. But if you have any trouble with that, contact me. I'll put you in touch with the right people in Canada. As far as commissions in the U.S., we start at 12%. We'll go above that if we can work with agents who are going to aggressively market our product out to their customers, have a good mailing list, the right demographics for our particular product. We're certain to take a look.
That's terrific. And on board, what currency is used? And also, do the cashiers have the capability of exchanging dollars for the local currency of the country you're visiting?
Yeah, well, the primary currency is going to be euro, and so they can exchange that on board. As far as your any expenses on board, you give them your U.S. credit card, and that will be processed in U.S. dollars.
As far as the website, is that available to the consumer? Can they get on the website and book on their own, or do they have to go through do you only deal with travel agents?
87% of our business comes through travel agents. There is not a booking mechanism on the website. They can certainly get on waterways.com. There is a link to the agent booking engine, but you have to have a username and password to get that. You can only get that through us. So the only way they could book direct is call us. We don't encourage that. We really prefer them to use the travel agent. Travel agent, there's more to the trip typically than just the cruise itself. There's pre-post, there's air, there's transfers outside of what we provide, things like that. So we try to encourage them to use an agent.
Is the $500 deposit per cabin or per person? And does Emerald offer insurance, cancellation insurance? And if so, does it also cover the deposit?
Yes. So the deposit is $500 per person, so $1,000 for a couple. We do have insurance. It's through TripMate. So you can either use your own insurance, or we can certainly insure. We're insuring the cruise itself and the costs associated with that, which does include the deposit. So if you're doing other things for the client, such as separate air that's not refundable or prepaid hotels, things like that, you probably want to do your own insurance and include all that to make sure they're well covered.
Okay, good advice. Is room service available to all cabins or only to some cabins? The higher
only to the owner suites and the grand suites.
Okay. And documents get sent to the travel agent or directly to the client, or does the agent have a choice about that?
You tell us where you want it sent, typically to the agency.
Do you remember off the top of your head if there are itineraries that include Portugal?
Not at this time. Scenic has a new one for 16 coming out with a new ship to Portugal. I have not heard anything about what Emerald's going to do.
Okay. And do you know if Emerald has any plans for doing theme cruises, wine or music cruises or anything like that?
No, I don't. I've not heard anything about that.
Another question from a Canadian agent. If we have a Canadian agent who is booking U.S. clients, does he book through the Canadian office or through the U.S. office?
Good question. I don't think it makes a lot of difference. I think to my Canadian counterparts, they prefer you book it through them because you're their client as the agency. But bottom line, I don't think it makes a lot of difference. from our current perspective, is probably where the credit for the sale goes. But if in the U.S., they certainly qualify for any U.S. discounts we have.
Okay. And is soda available? Coke, Pepsi, 7-Up, or is it included, or is it an extra charge if it's available at all?
That's all included. All soft drinks, water, sparkling water, 24-hour coffee service, one of these robotic coffee things that's kind of fun to watch. It cleans itself. You'll be sitting there reading something in the lounge, and all of a sudden you hear this noise, and the coffee pot's over there cleaning itself. A little strange.
Sounds interesting. Are all of the vessels non-smoking?
Yes. Yeah, the only smoking area we allow is on the top deck at the back. The smoke will go away from the ship. We don't allow it in the balconies or anywhere else.
Okay. How do travel agents go about getting the brochures that are available?
They should contact info@emeraldwaterways.com. Request them.
Okay. Are there electronic brochures available on the website?
We don't have electronic brochures for Emerald right now. We probably will when the 16 brochure comes out. We do for Scenic. Maybe what we'll do here, I think we might. Let me see. Can you see my site showing up okay here?
Yes.
I know there's a brochure. I've never actually clicked on it. So you can do that. You can sign up and you get your brochures.
While you're looking for it, you said that there's
Here's one right here. Here it is right here. You can download it. Do it online or download it.
Excellent. And you said there's a pre-brochure out for 2016. The actual brochure won't be out until next month. Can agents now book cruises in 2016?
Yes, you can request them. If the inventory is not loaded yet, we will take your request. It's a $250 refundable deposit to hold that. As soon as the space is fully available, then we'll confirm it, and if the customer wants to continue with that, then they'll just pay the $500 deposit.
Okay, fantastic.
Some of them are available, some aren't. I'm not sure where they are with that. That changes day by day. To clarify the brochure, though, the pre-release brochure is what comes out next month with the 2015 pricing. In May, the full brochure will come out with whatever 2016 pricing is settled on. I don't know if that'll be higher or the same or whatever.
Okay. I've had several people ask how they can get the comparison worksheet that you mentioned. Should they contact their local BDM to get that worksheet, or how can they get it?
Yeah, we haven't actually spread that around quite yet, but if they want to contact me, Randy, R-A-N-D-Y-G, at scenictours.com, I will get them a copy of it.
Fantastic. And also a couple of people have asked if this webinar is being recorded, and it is. And you'll be able to access it on the Travel Professional Community in the Web Archives group, and also on Tom Ogg's YouTube channel. So you can go back and look at these wonderful pictures and hear the presentation again. And I think we're just about out of time. So I want to thank you very much, Randy Goodrich from Emerald Waterways and Scenic Cruises. This has been a fantastic presentation, as always. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
And thank you to all of our agents.